Imagine a machine so small you could hold it in one hand. Yet inside it beats the heart of something powerful enough to outpace the biggest desktop computers of the last decade. That's not a fantasy anymore. That's what Apple is building right now. And if the latest leaks are true, the M5 Mac Mini could be the most important computer Apple has ever created. Not because it's flashy, not because it's expensive, but because it might quietly redefine what power in a small box really means. Stay with me for this entire deep dive. Because the story of the M5 Mac Mini is not just about specs, it's about Apple's next move in reshaping the desktop world. The story begins with the M4 Mac Mini, the quiet revolution nobody saw coming. It looked the same, it felt the same, but inside it was a silent monster. People who bought it realized something shocking. Apple wasn't just chasing performance anymore, it was chasing perfection. But as impressive as the M4 was, it was also a preview, a glimpse of what was coming next. Now, as Apple transitions to its M5 generation, leaks, insider reports, and system-level code all suggest something massive is brewing deep inside Cupertino. Apple's M5 chip has already been officially announced, and it's unlike anything we've seen before, built on a cutting-edge 3-nanometer process. It houses a 10-core CPU, a 10-core GPU, and a neural engine that's rumored to deliver 4 times the AI performance of the previous M4. Apple isn't just talking about speed anymore, it's talking about intelligence. The M5 is engineered for an era where your Mac doesn't just run your apps. It understands them. It adapts, predicts, and reacts faster than ever. The company claims up to a 45% graphics improvement and massive gains in efficiency. Imagine that power in a desktop smaller than a book, but here's where things start getting interesting and controversial. Apple insiders have whispered about 2 Mac Mini prototypes under active development, one powered by the base M5 and another running a higher-end M5 Pro chip. The code names? J837s and J837C. If those sound familiar, they should. They were spotted in internal macOS Tahoe 26 builds just weeks ago. That means Apple isn't just considering an upgrade. It's actively testing multiple Mac Mini variants. And that raises the big question. When will we actually see it? One leak points to a late 2025 reveal. Others push it further, summer 2026. The confusion isn't accidental. Apple operates on overlapping product timelines, where devices are built, scrapped, rebuilt, and retimed based on component readiness. The M5 chip is real. It's shipping in MacBook Pro prototypes and next-gen iPads. But to bring it into the Mac Mini's ultra-compact chassis, Apple needs near-perfect thermal performance. The M5 can run fast, but in a box that small, that's engineering witchcraft, insiders from the supply chain describe new cooling solutions, possibly vapor chamber technology or a graphene-based heat spreader that allow sustained M5 performance in total silence. If that's true, the next Mac Mini might operate at full power with no fans ramping up, no throttling, no noise at all. Picture that. 10-core performance, AI acceleration, and ultra-fast memory bandwidth, all running silently on your desk. That's not just an upgrade. That's a revolution. Now, if you've followed Apple's pattern before, you'll notice a cycle. New chip, then laptops, then desktops. The M4 chip debuted first in the iPad Pro, then in MacBooks. The same thing is happening again. The M5 has entered laptops and tablets. The desktops come next. But this time, Apple might break its own cycle. There's speculation that an early Mac Mini could arrive before the Studio and Pro updates, a smaller wave before the big one. That move would make sense strategically. It would give Apple a way to showcase the M5's real-world potential in a cost-effective, high-volume machine before the larger, more expensive Mac Studio hits the stage. And then comes the big question every Mac user is asking, will the design finally change? The truth might disappoint some. Most leaks suggest Apple will keep the same 5-inch by 5-inch aluminum enclosure. It's minimal, efficient, and proven to handle thermals well. But inside, nearly everything is new. Updated logic boards, rerouted airflow, next-gen unified memory modules, and possibly faster SSDs based on the new NVMe architecture Apple has been experimenting with in the M5 development kits. The outside stays familiar. The inside becomes a completely different beast. But that's not where the excitement ends. Deep within the M5 architecture lies something that could redefine how we think about desktop computing: dedicated on-device AI acceleration. This is where Apple's strategy becomes clear. The company isn't just building faster chips. It's building machines that can process neural tasks, language models, and visual recognition locally without relying on cloud services. That means faster performance, better privacy, and almost no latency. In the M5 Mini, those features could turn the smallest Mac into the most efficient AI workstation in Apple's lineup. Let's talk numbers for a moment. If Apple's claims are accurate, we could see Geekbench scores pushing 25,000 in multi-core performance, nearly double the M4 Mini's numbers. GPU performance could rival the base M3 Pro MacBook. In simple terms, the next Mac Mini might not just be faster than its predecessor, it might challenge full-size desktops from competitors. And because of Apple's vertical integration, it'll do all of that while using less power, generating less heat, and staying whisper quiet. That's the real trick. Performance without punishment. But there's another layer of mystery. The timeline. Apple's software leaks give clues. The latest macOS Tahoe betas reference identifiers for several upcoming desktop machines. Two stand out, J873s and J873G, believed to represent the M5 Mini and its Pro variant. Those same identifiers line up with software development targets ending around macOS 26.4, which drops mid-2026. Translation? That's the likely window for the big desktop push, but that doesn't rule out a smaller release earlier. Apple could easily drop a stealth refresh in late 2025, just like it did before with the M2 and M3 transitions. Quiet launch, online store update, no event, just a new machine suddenly available. Now let's step back and look at the bigger picture. Why the Mac Mini matters so much to Apple right now. The Mini has become Apple's secret weapon in enterprise, creative, and cloud environments. Studios, developers, and even data centers use them in clusters because they're cheap, efficient, and modular. Each upgrade ripples far beyond consumer use. It reshapes the infrastructure of small business computing. If the M5 Mini truly delivers on its rumored performance, it could dominate that market overnight. Imagine hundreds of these stacked in racks, each running AI tasks, media encoding, or machine learning training, all with Apple's in-house silicon. That's a vision Apple quietly loves, and there's more. The M5 Mini might also be Apple's bridge into the AI-powered macOS generation. The company is already integrating on-device generative features into macOS, text generation, visual scene analysis, audio separation, and predictive shortcuts, all powered by Apple neural engines. The M5 chip supercharges those tasks, so when you see features like smart context or adaptive workflow appear in macOS updates, remember, they're being built for chips like the M5. The hardware is coming before the software, a classic Apple move. Let's not ignore the competition. Intel's Arrow Lake and AMD's Zen 5 chips are pushing massive desktop performance, but they also consume triple the power. Apple's pitch is different. Do more with less. A Mac Mini M5 using under 60 watts could rival machines using 200 watts or more. That's efficiency on another level. It's what makes Apple's silicon transition more than a hardware upgrade. It's a design philosophy shift. So, if you're watching this and wondering whether to buy an M4 Mini now or wait for the M5, here's the real talk. The M4 Mini is already great, but the M5 isn't just a speed bump. It's the first step into a new class of intelligent desktop computing. The M5 Mini will likely cost around the same, $799 for the base, maybe $999 for the higher-end variant. But the performance, especially for creative professionals and developers, could easily justify waiting. If you use Final Cut, Logic, or AI-based creative tools, the M5's neural performance could save you hours every week. Now, let's touch on aesthetics, because Apple always hides something clever in its simplicity. Some early CAD leaks suggest a slightly altered vent pattern and a magnetic power port redesign, possibly inspired by the iMac's sleek connector system. It's subtle, but it could make the Mini even cleaner on your desk. One cable, one block, that's it. And perhaps, just perhaps, Apple might finally offer a space black finish. Small detail, big visual upgrade, but the biggest story isn't design, it's vision. With the M5 Mini, Apple is trying to prove that desktop computing can be compact, quiet, and still insanely capable. No noisy fans, no clutter, no tower the size of a microwave. Just pure distilled performance in a design so minimal it disappears when you're not using it. That's the future Apple's building. Now think ahead one more generation. If the M5 Mini lands in mid-2026, that sets up the stage for the M6 by late 2027. Apple's roadmap shows that by then, its chips will likely shift to 2nm architecture. That's the endgame. desktop-class performance from a chip that barely warms your hand. But to reach that point, Apple needs to prove something first, that the M5 Mini can scale up to those expectations. That's why this release matters so much. It's not just a new Mac Mini, it's the blueprint for Apple's next decade of desktop innovation. By now, you can probably feel the pattern. Every leak, every rumor, every internal code name is pointing in one direction: a small machine with massive ambition. The M5 Mini isn't designed to be flashy, it's designed to be unstoppable. When it launches, and whether quietly this fall or officially next summer, it could end up being the single most balanced, most capable Mac Apple has ever built. So what should you do with all this information? Watch the code. Watch macOS betas. When you see those internal identifiers appear, J837, J873, anything with S or G at the end, know that the wave is approaching. And when that wave hits, it'll be more than just another computer release. It'll be a statement that the desktop era is far from over, and that Apple is leading it in silence, precision, and brilliance. This is the story of the Mac Mini M5, a machine that doesn't shout for attention, but quietly rewrites the rules of what power looks like. And if you've stayed until now, you already know more than most of the tech world. The M5 Mini isn't just coming soon, it's already casting its shadow across the future of computing. Get ready, because when Apple finally flips that switch, the smallest Mac might just make the biggest noise yet, without making a sound at all.